Hi dear students, this is Ms. T.M. Rahini from Sir Isaac Newton CBSE and Metric School Papakoil Nagapattinam. Today I am going to teach you an interesting topic from class 8th, The Selfish Giant. It is such an interesting story. It is all about a park, like garden and the children and one selfish giant called Ogre. Now the giant's garden was beautiful and children loved to play in it. Actually, there was one garden. In the garden, we have lot of fruits, beautiful fruits, colorful flowers and beautiful leaves. Here, all day the children used to play in the garden. And in the garden, there is one selfish giant. The giant who was selfish, I think you all may know what is selfish. The giant who was selfish, who is always thinking about themselves, not considering others, called as selfish, okay, built a high wall around his lovely garden. Actually, he is the owner of this garden. He built a wall around the garden. And children did not enter the garden thereafter. If they built a wall, how the children will enter? No, so they can't able to enter into the garden. Nor did spring and summer till the giant experienced a change of heart. Actually, we have 4 seasons, right? Spring, summer, autumn and winter. So we have 4 seasons. See, in whole place they have the seasons all together, but in the place of garden, in this garden alone, here he don't have the experience of this seasons. Okay, so every afternoon as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the giant's garden. Actually, after the school, all the children used to play in the selfish giant's garden. It was one of the blissful day for them whenever they enter the garden. And it was a large, lovely garden. The garden was, here they are describing about the garden. Here the garden was such a lovely one and with soft green grasses. You may all know that all the gardens used to have grasses, but this naturally they have green grasses that was so soft, and here and there over the grass stood beautiful flowers like stars, and there were 12 peach trees that in the springtime broke out into delicate blossom of pink and pearl. Actually, in the garden, often see we know that in the grass place we have some thorns, right? So it will injure our feet. But in this garden, the grass was very soft, and in between the grasses we have beautiful flowers that were look like stars. Okay, so the 12 peach trees, actually they have 12 peach trees in the garden. And in the springtime, it is one of the beautiful scenery in the springtime, because all the trees will give flowers and blossoms and broke out into delicate blossoms of pink and pearl. Like in a color of pink and pearl, all the peach trees will blossom, and in the autumn bore a rich fruit, and in the season of autumn it will give rich fruit. Rich in the sense it gives fluffy and tasty fruit. The birds sat on the trees and sang so sweetly that the children used to stop their games in order to listen them. Actually, in all the 12 peach trees, the sparrows, like small birds, they used to sit and sing a song. So this song was a pleasure to hear by the children. So whenever they are playing, they used to stop their playing, and they were listen to the music of the bird. Now, how happy we are here, they cried to each other. Now they were very much happy about the garden, so they are crying that how happy we are in the garden. So they have enjoyed a lot in the garden. So one day the Jain came back. Actually, the Jain was not there in the garden. He went somewhere. Now he came back to the garden. He had been to visit his friend to the Cornish ogre. Now he was went to visit his friend. Now he came and stayed with him for 7 years. When he arrived, he saw the children playing in the garden. Actually, the garden was taken care of another person. Now he came back. This Jain was came back, and after 7 years, and when he saw that the children were playing in the garden, he was frustrated and he was get anger. Then, what are you doing here? He is shouting that, what are you doing here? He cried in a very gruff voice, and the children ran away. Actually, he shouted in a rough voice, so the children were afraid of the voice and they all ran away. Okay, here the meaning of the Cornish ogre. Cornish ogre is a Jain of Cornwall in UK. And then ogre is a legends and fairy stories, a cruel giant who eats people. Ogre is like a selfish giant who eats people. Then gruff is a rough and surly voice. I have already told you here, in a gruff voice. He shouted in a gruff voice. This is the picture. It's not clear. You can see it in your book. My own garden. He is shouting that, continuing that, my own garden is my own garden. This garden is my own garden. It is not for others. And said the Jain, anyone can understand that, and I will allow nobody to play in it but myself. See, he built a high wall all around it and put up a notice board. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Here he shouted that I have already told you that he was a selfish Jain. He don't concern about others. So he is shouting that this is my own garden and I should be here. No one should enter into the garden. And he built a big wall around the garden and given a notice board, put up a notice board that trespassers is like a stranger, will be prosecuted. Prosecuted is prohibited. The stranger, others should not enter into the garden. So likewise, he put up a poster and he put up a notice board in the garden. And he was a very selfish Jain. I have already told you he was a very selfish Jain. The poor children, actually the poor children doesn't know about those all things. They were so innocent, right? So the poor children had now nowhere to play. Now the poor children don't find any place to play. So they find themselves difficult for playing. And they tried to play on the road, but the road was very dusty and full of hard stones. Actually, how was the garden? It was too beautiful, too pretty, and it gives the sound of birds, and it gives beautiful flowers, fruits, etc. So here they don't have chance to play in the garden, so they were played in the road. How the road was? With dusty and smoky, all the cars and vehicles will be there in the road, right? So they can't able to play in the road, and on the road was dusty and full of hard stones. Actually, how the platform in the garden, it was greeny grassland with soft grasses, but here they find hard stones. So, and they did not like it, and they did not like there to play. So they used to wander around the high walls when their lessons were over. After their classes were over, they used to come around the wall, because even if they have some hole to enter into the garden, they can go and enjoy in the garden, right? So they have searched for that and talk about the beautiful garden inside, and they often talk about the garden, how we were played, how the bird singing was, and how the tree was. So they were always talking about the garden, and they always reminiscence about the garden, how happy we were there, they said to each other. Now once they were said that how happy we are here, but now they are saying that how happy we were there, how happy we were there. Once upon a time we were enjoyed in the garden. So then the spring came all over the place, and all over the country there were little blossoms and little birds. Actually, when the springs comes, also the blossoms, birds will also enter. But only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter, and only in the garden's place. Actually, the students left the place in the season of winter. So all the country over it was a spring, but still the garden was in which season? In winter season. And the birds did not care to sing in it as they were known. Actually, the bird did not sing a song. They always are fed up with some sorrow. Okay, here trespasses. Look at the synonyms here. Trespasses, those who enter somebody's land property without his or her permission. Actually, without anyone's permission we are entering, no. So that is called as trespasses, and prosecuted, tried in a court of law. Trespasses is like punished, is prohibited, you should not do that. And the children and the trees forget to blossom. So actually the sparrow, the birds did not sing a song, right? So the trees also forget to blossom. The trees also fail to give flowers and fruits. Okay. Once a beautiful flower put its head out from the grass, but when it saw the notice board, it was so sorry for the children that it slid back into the ground again. Actually, there was one flower that entered, that looked at the garden, but when it found that there was no children, it again went inside. It did not appear. Then and went off to sleep. Actually, it went to sleep. Till this, I'll stop. I'll continue in the next session, dear children. Thank you.